Isn't this why we live in California, right? The sun's out, it's a beautiful morning. If you weren't lucky enough to be last night at the shore break to see the documentary, you'll be able to see it inside later today. But just to set the stage for those that weren't there last night, I just got to tell a little story of how we get here today. So about 2 years ago, someone Google Earthed big surfboard, and big surfboard came up on a dairy farm in Corona, and I went, wow, that's interesting, because I was on the board in 2008 out here, but it wasn't a Guinness World Record because we didn't pay the extortion fee for them to come. And so the record was still in my hometown in Australia, and I went, well, that'd be a good idea for the 100th anniversary, maybe we'll reset the record. So Don McAllister and I, unsolicited, got in his car and we drove out to Corona to a dairy farm, and there was a gate and it was open, so we went, oh, what the heck, we'll drive through this gate. We drive in there on the dairy farm, and here's this big surfboard. We'd been there a few moments, and across the paddock comes a farmer in a little golf cart with a gun rack in the back. He wanted to know what we were doing on his property, and we were telling him, you know, look, we'd like to get a hold of this big surfboard, and we want to see if we can reset the world record. And to cut the story short, he wanted $65,000 for it, and Don and I looked at each other and kind of laughed, and we came back and if we were going to pay that, I think we offered him 25, Don, if I remember right. And then I came back, if he was going to make a $25,000 deal, we were going to have to repaint it and stuff. So I went to my friends at Hurley, to Evan Slater, and said, are you in to help repaint it? And they said, we're in. And so when we talked to VHB about whether we were going to spend $65,000 to get this board, they went, oh, why don't we'll build our own? Kelly Miller said, well, let's do it. And so we already had some money from Hurley, and we went out to the community, and the city helped us out, and we privately raised about, I think in the end it cost us about $70,000 to build this surfboard. I think that was a pretty good investment, because as of today, the media impressions from that day are over $10 million in media value. So I think we did a good job. And the best is yet to come, because here we are today to unveil it as a tourist attraction in Surf City. That's pretty appropriate. You know, in my home of Australia, we have a thing that's on the Pacific Coast Highway from Sydney to Queensland called the Big Banana. It's the biggest banana in the world. And I remember when I was a little kid, I drove by, you had to stop and take your picture. It's so famous 40 years later that the government actually made a stamp of the Big Banana. Hopefully the US government might put this on a stamp one day. What do you reckon? You think so? I'm not sure that'll happen if Trump gets in. Anyway, we're here today, and a lot of people contributed to this thing. It was an incredible team of technical people, you know, from Moldcam, Westerly Marine, people, and my good friend from Australia, Bob Steele, sitting right in front of me here, that he was a lifeguard on my home beach in Australia when I was a teenager. That's how long we go back. And he's been here, like me, an expatriate for about as long, building boats. And I thought, this is a bit bigger than a surfboard. This just doesn't fit in the ordinary surfboard factory. So we built the board after we got the blank cut back in Rhode Island and trucked it across the country in Westerly Marine with a couple of old surf dudes that had a great time building the world's biggest surfboard. You know, I think this is going to become an incredible tourist attraction, particularly when it kicks in, when the state of California, Visit California, starts to run its commercial for the big board, Think Big, and come to Huntington Beach and see the biggest surfboard in the I haven't practiced yet, but somewhere in this parking lot, there's probably the best angle to get a selfie. We're actually going to paint that on the ground somewhere. Stand here. We're going to do some testing yet, but I think this thing will have the most selfies of anything that we've got in Huntington Beach, because if you remember on July 4th, I think there was like 30,000 selfies in front of the big board on the July 4th parade when we hauled it down the street. And of course, we won't have to really think too hard anymore when someone asks, where's the Huntington Beach Surf Museum? Just look for the big surfboard. Pretty simple answer these days, right? Look for the big surfboard. And With that said, I want to bring up the chairman of the museum, Mr. Brett Barnes, who was involved from this project from day one.
Thanks, PT. Obviously, the chairman of the board of the museum is not my day job. It's a little place where PT and I put the list together of everybody on that board over a couple glasses of wine. Over a few months, tried to figure out who's going to be on there.
And who paid us off, right?
Yeah. But what does this mean for the museum? Like PT said, it's going to be an attraction, and people are going to be driving by the street and look over to their left or right and go, oh my God, they're going to pull over and they're going to take a selfie. So it'll be selfie heaven here. It'll drive people into the museum. It'll challenge us as the museum to really get, evolve into a world-class museum and become the Cooperstown of surf museums, and really be collaborative with other museums in the state and in the world that come here and be involved in some of the stuff. The big board merchandise that we're going to sell benefits the museum. It also will sell worldwide once we start developing that merchandising part of it. So from a museum standpoint, this is a really big day for us because we become a focal part of what's happening in Huntington Beach, and people will come here like the Big Banana. When I was in Australia a couple of years ago, I stopped there and I waited for it to open so I could take my picture with it. So, it's the same deal here. People are going to come here to see the world's biggest surfboard, and then we have a plaque by the palm tree that's going up. We'll commemorate that. We'll have video in the museum. So it's really going to drive the exposure of the museum, and that's really good for us. So I really appreciate the effort. Everybody did. It was awesome.
Well, it wouldn't have happened not long after that drive to Corona. We got a new CEO at Visit Huntington Beach, Mr. Kelly Miller. And it would never have happened without Kelly's enthusiasm to make this new surfboard. And so we got together with Brett and we went, well, we've got to raise a bunch of money because, this big surfboard isn't cheap. And Kelly was right behind it, and he and his team went out, and as I said, we privately raised most of the money that made this happen. And with that said, I'd like to bring up Kelly Miller.
Good morning. Are we stoked this morning? I'll tell you what, this has been a long journey, let me tell you. Real quickly, then we're going to get into some great speeches, and hopefully short speeches from our elected officials here. Although it is campaign season, I know that's... we're going to try and get you out of here by 11 at the latest. Last night was a magical moment, as PT said. I mean, if you weren't there, go in the museum and watch the film. You literally experienced not only the making of the board, but what it was like to be on that board for those 12 seconds. And we reflected last night on how any parents in the room, how many people have parents in the room? How many people have parents? If you didn't raise your hand, you're still at the bar from last night, right? But we talked about the range of emotions from you when you first find out that you're going to be a parent, to the birth of that child, to those teen years, and oh golly, remember those, and then light at the end of the tunnel when they become 18 and you kick them out of the house, or 28 or 38 or whatever the number is today. But 40, yeah, or maybe still living there. But we talked about that, but more importantly that, all of that birthing to finally what we're about to see is just like this great, we did it. We did as good a job as we could. And it's that same emotional feeling I think that parents had and that we all had. From the makers and the shapers that are here joining us today from all over the country, to the project managers, the architects, the truck drivers, the marketers, the advertisers, the city council and city staff, our staff, the citizens of HB that were down there, 5,000 or 6,000 people to watch this great thing. I mean, we did it as Ohana, right? We did it as family. And I think that's what we really get to when we get to see this board and tell other people. And here to talk more about the importance of this from kind of a political point of view, but also this is important for people to say, you know what, we recognize that as well, and we'd like to honor that with proclamations, etc. So Jerry, if you want to come up, we'll get that ball rolling.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Jerry Wheeler. I'm the President and CEO of the Huntington Beach Chamber of Commerce here, and on behalf of my board of directors, I am absolutely thrilled to be playing just a small role in working with, in introducing these elected officials or the representatives, people that the Chamber of Commerce is proud to work with on a daily basis, not only here in town and in the region, and of course in Sacramento. So some of these folks are well, they're all extremely dedicated individuals, and they're very excited to be a part of this this morning's event. And first up, I'm really excited to be able to have with us here today. Yes, no, absolutely, definitely. Our surfing congressman, you know, the very one and only representing the 48th District, Mr. Dana Rohrabacher.
I've got great news this morning. Okay. First of all, I before I start anything, it's that we all remember Natalie Koch and all the hard work that she put into this, and she dedicated her life to that. It was really cool working with Natalie because she understood that, well, I am a Republican and I don't go out for a lot of government spending. And I told her, I will help you every way I possibly can, but I'm not going to try to get government grants for this. This has got to be a community effort. We got to get together as a family and get this done. And she did a great job of getting us to start. And these gentlemen are building upon that spirit and that wonderful foundation she gave us. So that's good news that we remember Natalie today. One more good news is, this better not be. Mr. President, I'm in the middle of a speech. We'll have to call back later. I don't know who that was. So, anyway, the other good news is, well, the bad news was, over the years, 25 years of really good surfing wore away all the cartilage in my shoulders. And about a year and a half ago, the arthritis was so bad, I haven't really, the only time I've been out surfing in the last year was with you guys to get this board dedicated. I just got some injections into my arm, and about 2 months ago, I could only do this. Hey, how about that, huh? Rohrabacher's going back in the water. So, listen, surfing has been so much to my life and now all of your lives. We are a different kind of sport. This was a team sport. This is a team sport, but I look at it more as a family sport between people who share this cultural tie to surfing. And surfing is a sport of individual freedom. And I just want you to know I'm very proud of many of our champion surfers who have sided with me on various issues dealing with most favored nation. I've been the major opponent in Congress of most favored nation status for China, and the championship surfers have been on my side on that, and I was really appreciative of that. And so with that, let me get into the real thing. I was so proud of this. I mean, we have made a world championship record now that we can all brag about, and I tell people about it, and then I say, and I was one of the ones on the board. So God bless you all for doing your part. Let's keep this surfing museum part of our culture and part of our family. Thank all of you for what you are doing, and for the people who put this together today. I have a certificate of congressional recognition for Huntington Beach and Huntington Beach International Surfing Museum in recognition of this record-setting big board event. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. A pleasure to have you here with us this morning. Up next is Assemblyman Matthew Harper. We all know Matt. He was elected to the Assembly in November of 2014 to represent the 74th District, which includes part of Huntington Beach, including the ground that we're standing on right now. And we all know, or many of us know, that Matt, before joining the Assembly, was the 59th mayor of Huntington Beach. Assemblyman Harper.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I mentioned a little bit of it last night, but this means a lot to me because I've seen this come all the way through each of the stages from just a spark of an idea where these folks just to my right, your left, Kelly and Brett and PT had this wild and crazy idea of, hey, this is the 100-year anniversary of surfing in the city of Huntington Beach. We need to really do something that'll really put this on the map. that'll really be remarkable. And there's this idea of bringing back the giant surfboard and being able to break the record and make it official with the Guinness Book of World Records. And when you pitch that, I took about a half second to think about it, and I said, you know what, I'm in. I'm in as much as I can support this, because I think it's a great idea, not just for the city of Huntington Beach, but it's remarkable. Last night it really showed the impact of how this is an impact for the entire state of California, to be really proud of what we are in terms of celebrating our surfing, but also dreaming big. And so it's amazing to not only break the record, to have the spectacle, to have the fellowship of so many of the people here that were on the big board and how many people were over to be able to watch the big board. I myself was on the pier and saw it all from the great perspective of our beautiful Huntington Beach pier. But to see this now be a permanent landmark for the city of Huntington Beach and for our International Surfing Museum. We had a lot of discussion while I was in the council on how can we bring more people, because even though it's just one block off of Main Street, it really needs the attention to bring people over. And I think this is going to be special in terms of bringing here to the International Surfing Museum and further celebrating the city of Huntington Beach as the center of surfing around the world. So congratulations and thank you so much.
We're also pleased to have with us today Assemblyman Travis Allen. And Travis was elected, of course, in 2012, and a very big part of the Huntington Beach culture. Tremendous surfer in his own right. He loves to surf, loves to be here, and as much as he loves us, he loves what he's doing in Sacramento as well. Assemblyman Allen?
How's everybody doing today? You see, you're all lucky because you're standing in the sun. And I've had to spend so much time in Sacramento, I really, really miss Huntington Beach. Let's hear it for Huntington Beach. So my name's Travis Allen. I'm the state assemblyman for the area. I share the city with Matthew Harper. It's kind of like the state Congress. I'm the congressman of California, if you will. Whereas Dana represents in D.C., he maybe gets a little bit, he's got a longer flight than we do. We're short up the street, but there's no waves in Sacramento. And the whole reason I represent here is because 20 years ago, actually more than 20 years ago now, I was living in Hawaii. And as you would imagine, I was surfing in Hawaii and having a great time. And, I kept on paddling out and paddling, having lots of fun. And then a couple times I started to hear this word. And this word came more and more and more. And does anybody have an idea what they call white boys over in Hawaii? They call them howlies. And so I called up my buddy in Huntington Beach. I said, you know what? Hawaii's great and all. They got perfect weather and great waves, but I'm just kind of tired of being called a howlie. He said, well, let me tell you, Travis, we lived together up in L.A., but now I'm down in Huntington Beach. I live right on Main Street, 726 Main. I got a great house, bunch of guys. We have unlimited waves, unlimited bars, and unlimited great people. He actually said unlimited something else, but you get the point. And I said, hey, that sounds really good. So I moved over here just to kind of see what it was like, and 20 years later, I'm still here. I opened my business here, and now actually I get to represent you in the state legislature. That all aside, what I really am is I'm just a Southern California surfer. I've lived here. I've surfed the pier, south side, north side, Golden West, Taco Reef, you name it. This is my home. This is my home break. So when I got the phone call, I was up in Sacramento, and they said, hey, Travis, we got this really big surfboard. We're going to set a world record. You want to ride it? I said, well, come on, this is a no-brainer. I think I had like committee meetings and all kinds of other stuff. I canceled everything, flew down here, threw on my wetsuit, and I figured there'd be a couple people down on the beach, maybe a camera or two. There was something like 10,000 people down on the beach. There was a Guinness Book of World Records guy. He was in the water, and it was just this epic experience. So raise your hand if you were part of the surf team. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for everybody who rode the board. This was just an incredible experience, as everybody knows. Huntington Beach, a number of years ago, won a lawsuit. So now it's actually official. We truly are Surf City, USA. This is the center of surf culture here in the United States. Hawaii might be great, but we're California. This is the California sun, and this is the California love. And now we got the biggest board in the world. It's right over my shoulder, right here in Huntington Beach with the International Surfing Museum. Thank you very much on my behalf. Thank you for all the residents of Huntington Beach. I got a little certificate for you. This is a resolution from the Assembly, and I'm just going to read you the title. It says, the biggest board, Surf City USA's epic ride. Thank you very much, Huntington Beach.
Hey, we're very pleased to have, actually he's doing this is his second time being involved on City Council, but Mr. Dave Sullivan, who is currently our Mayor Pro Tem. Dave?
I have a question for you. What is the most beautiful beach in all of the United States? Huntington. You're a very smart group. On behalf of my colleagues in the City Council, as well as the City of Huntington Beach, we want to congratulate everybody who was involved in this magnificent effort here. And because we have, I just learned from you, the most wonderful beach around, we want millions of people to come and visit us. We will accommodate however many want to come. And what was amazing after this incredible event, I actually counted them, 27 emails from classmates from all over the country and 13 from people in Boston. And those are the type of people we want because having been from there, a lot of people don't get west of Worcester, which is about 50 miles. But tourism is such a big part of the economy of this city. It's really, this is a wonderful event, and as Peter said, it was worth millions of advertising and all those emails. Some of those people I hadn't heard from probably 20 years. So I want to thank everybody, the sponsors, everybody that worked on this, and also I have a proclamation. Thank you. And it is recognizing setting the Guinness Book of World Records, the biggest board in the world. Thank you.
Representing the 34th Senate District here in California is Senator Janet Wynn. And speaking on her behalf today is Mr. Phil Smith.
Pretty easy to tell I'm not Janet Wynn. However, too bad she couldn't be here. Lucky for me. What a turnout. I've lived in Huntington Beach for 40 years, and this is so exciting, and I'm so proud of our city. And I hear the surf is up. So I'll be brief. I want to congratulate you people who have done the work. It's always good to have somebody do the work and then come along and congratulate them. And though the senator couldn't be here, she sent you a note that is a certificate of recognition. And let me just shake your hands.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Give me that.
Senator John Moorlach represents the balance of Huntington Beach here. And today we're pleased to have Scott Carpenter speaking on his behalf. Scott?
And for those of you that know Senator Moorlach, I am obviously not him either. So, but I'll make this real brief as well because I just want to take a selfie with this new board here. And I want to be one of the first, so that's great. But I am just proud to be here and happy to see that the largest surfboard is home to Surf City, no matter what Santa Clara or Santa Cruz tries to steal from us. This is Surf City, and this is home where it belongs, so congratulations. And on Senator Moorlach's behalf, we have a certificate of recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Orange County's 2nd District is represented by Michelle Steele. And today, speaking on her behalf, she is the Vice Chair of the Board of Supervisors for the Orange County, is Tim Whitaker. Tim, come on forward.
Good morning, Huntington Beach. It is indeed a pleasure to be here on behalf of Vice Chairwoman Michelle Steele of the Board of Supervisors, County of Orange. What a great honor to represent Huntington Beach. Even more spectacular, it's not just about the largest surfboard, and it's not just about the most people on the surfboard. It's also what can be laid claim here. Where else do you have a surfing congressman that represents you? And you have a surfing assemblyman, and then you've got this dapper guy, whoever he goes, you know Matt Harper, because he's always has that hat in the head. And then Huntington Beach is so desirable that you have 2 Senate districts that compete and fight over that as well, and you got them here too. Supervisor Steele would love to be here. She's actually out of town for the weekend, but she just can't say enough for what Visit HB and what the Surfing Museum is doing with this. Those people that rode the board, the brainchilds of the board, everybody that came together, that's what makes Huntington Beach Huntington Beach. So on behalf of the Vice Chairwoman of the Board of Supervisors and the entire Board of Supervisors for the County of Orange, if I could see that, please, sir, thank you. We want to present the Certificate of Recognition to Visit HB and the International Surfing Museum on behalf of those 2 world records, the largest surfboard and the most people riding a surfboard. Well deserved. This is why this is Surf City, USA.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you so much.
And representing the 4th District of the State Board of Equalization is Diane Harkey, and speaking on her behalf today, Carissa Willett. Carissa?
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of Board Member Diane Harkey. And I'd just like to say congratulations to the City of Huntington Beach on this great accomplishment. The biggest board in the world is just a huge deal, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's a part of this and involved, and thank you for helping to generate revenue in the 4th District and in the beautiful city of Huntington Beach.
Thank you.
So before I relinquish the mic, I just got to say one thing. I grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin. A long time ago, I grew up there. I'm probably the loneliest surfer boy in town in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But I was raised on the music of the Beach Boys and Jan and Dean. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever expect to be standing here in front of this monumentous occasion to dedicate this surfboard and make it a part of the fabric of life here in Huntington Beach. Again, I am honored and privileged to be a part of this. I know my board of directors feels the same way about representing local businesses here in Huntington Beach. Thank you so much. Kelly, take it away.
Before we unveil the big beauty back here, we just wanted to say a few more kudos, acknowledgments, and thank yous. We kind of looked at this as kind of 6 phases. We had the dreamers and the schemers, I think what you could call us. And first off, the 100 years of surfing. PT had mentioned that, but PT Brett Barnes, Don McAllister, the city ambassador at large and former mayor. Absolutely. Madison Fisher was with our team a while ago, and a couple of us. The Huntington Beach International Surfing Museum Board Chair and Board of Directors, and the volunteers that work there. Awesome job, guys. Last but not least, as far as the dreamers and schemers, is the VHB board and the staff. And without, you heard that great dedication, well, we can't do this in a vacuum. And they were the ones who said, listen, this is too good of an idea. Keep pushing forward. So we got their blessings along the way. But I just want to take 1 second to thank some very important people on our PR and marketing side: Susan Thomas, Rich, Rachel, Jennifer, and Sophia. Sophia worked hard with the filmmaker, Nick Bowser, so special kudos to her. On our sales and marketing team, on the meeting side, John and Elsie, and then on the service side and IT, Nicole, Tanya, Kevin, and Denise. Thank you so much. Second phase, call them the dicers and the slicers, also known as the design and construction crew. It's one thing to have a great idea, but it's another thing to put it all together. And I want to just introduce, there's going to be a couple of groups of people up here, but the first group is JB out there in Rhode Island, who kind of put it all together as far as the 2 pieces and shipped it out here, and Bob Steele, our project manager. You two want to come up here and just say a quick something?
Go first? Why'd you go?
Okay.
Everybody hear me okay? So, such a great day. Thanks for having us here. I might just share a couple of thoughts, but I'll keep it brief, I promise. When Nev called me and said, can you shape this surfboard? And he told me how big it was. I said, yeah, probably. We have a pretty large machine and we're pretty efficient. And I asked him how long, he told me he'd done it before. He built a 39-footer, and I asked him how long that took. And he said it took 120 man-hours to build it. And then he told me the timetable, and I was like, whoa, we might have a problem. But When we got the file and we looked at it, we realized if we applied some new technology and we used a big digital fabrication with a big 5-axis machine, we could probably pull this off. And it was just a fantastic opportunity for us. I can't thank you enough to everybody for allowing us to be involved. On behalf of all my guys at the shop, we really enjoyed it. And you're all welcome to come out and see us sometime. But, we carve big things every day, sometimes big turbines, sometimes cars or buses or communication domes, but nobody doesn't really catch anyone's attention. But the world's largest surfboard just caught everyone's attention, and it was just a pleasure to be involved, and thank you so much. And I'll leave it over to Bob, who did a fantastic job, along with Westerly and everybody else involved. So cheers. Thank you again.
You have a man, JB? That's incredible, and if you see the movie, you'll see it in action. I'm truly overwhelmed by the response, the cooperation. I've got to get two people up here, PT, here on the stage, and my son Mike, because without these two guys behind my back, it wouldn't have happened, and without the incredible talent that we did this with and the spirit of cooperation from the people in Huntington Beach. I actually consult with Surfline, so I do work in the city. It was amazing. So I'll just take a few minutes of the bullet points that happened to make all this happen. The one person that's not here and is down under is Nev Hyman. The guy, we had some conversations in Kelly's office telling us about the nightmares on his build, and we learned from that. He shared that with us, and then with the spirit of cooperation, he sent the files, the CAD files from down under in Australia to Bristol, Rhode Island, and JB was able to initiate that new digital manufacturing technology. And this is the future for everyone, for young people particularly. This is the future of jobs. This used to be the aerospace capital of the world and the boat building capital of the world. It is the surfing capital of the world, but we want to bring the technology back, and this might be the start of a boomerang circle. Get it back, because we have the smartest, brightest, innovative people like Don Douglas and others that were pioneers in all things that we do best here. I'm Australian. There is an Aussie connection. PT, I've known for 45 years, and he was 16 at the time, so that dates me right there. But I've surfed Coolangatta in New Zealand and all over the world. I haven't ever been in this part of the ocean any other time other than Sean Collins' paddle out. And I know he was up there because we couldn't have scripted it better. And Sumo, God bless him, he did a blessing for the board. He's in Hawaii right now, couldn't be with us. I think his mother passed away, so our thoughts go with Sumo. And of course, the Duke's up there too, and he's my hero. I know he's PT's hero, and we try and live that aloha spirit of the Duke, because he did live in Australia for some time, and I grew up on Bondi Beach riding surfer planes, so we were close. And PT, very humble, but he's been a great ambassador for surfing and bringing in SSA and young people. He's pretty modest, but he's a funny guy.
Except for my pink shoes.
And the pink shoes. The other day he showed up with a pink woolen jacket. He called his Bell's jacket. I said, PT, I've seen black sheep, white sheep. I've never seen a pink sheep. I'll go through this real briefly, but it's important. On the water safety, the chief and his crew there. We had many meetings about safety. But the funniest statement that Chief said was in a meeting with PT, he said, PT Bob, I said, I spend 365 days a year trying to keep something like this off the beach. But seriously, they were behind with the paramedics, with everything we needed, and we were blessed once again. The most important thing about this whole ride was the safety of everyone on the board. And we were blessed. Everyone got off, and no one fell off, because we told them, if you fall off, you're not in the record book. So with that, the ride was incredible. It's just a special thing. I've surfed all my life, and PT has too. It's just amazing, and to have everything come together and have the spirit of this. I've met since we've done this, and during this event, I've met so many and met new friends from Huntington Beach. I live in Newport, but we're really sisters, brothers, cities, and Coolangatta, there's a connection because it's all tied in. But thank you very much. I'm sort of overwhelmed, humbled, and honored to be in this position.
And I'd just like to add a couple of call-outs to that, to Rob Handy, Chief of Police over here. His team were on the beach on their little runabouts, making sure that nothing went wrong, and we had an incredible support of the community. And two others standing over here, we would never have caught the wave. It was my job to say we were on the wave. That's why you can't see me in the photo, because I'm in the middle, sandwiched behind everybody. But Rocky McKinnon over here, he was on the back. He was my guy that said, here comes the swell, PT, this is the one. And we got on that first wave. We did it first time. And also over here, our greatest surfing champion of the present, Brett Simpson, was right on the very front.
We got it. All right, a couple more people we need to bring up. I know we're going to get you out of here by 11. That's the game plan. But the Westerly team. So JB and his team, the two hunks, 3,000 miles, 55-foot semi. Thought about it, put it on a train, but said, no, it's too valuable. Now, one driver, 6 days, got here, and we brought it here to Westerly Marine and right down the street here, 7 miles. Lynn, Steve, Fred, and Kai, you guys want to come up here and just say a couple things?
Kelly mentioned we're primarily boat builders, and we've known Bob Steele for many years, JB for many years through the marine industry. And Bob called one day and said, I've got a project you may be interested in. It's not a boat, but it's almost a boat. It's a pretty big surfboard. And we said, how big? And he said 42 feet. And we said, we're in. That sounds really exciting. So we ran it by all our guys. Everybody got very stoked. And we just assembled a great crew around it. And I think I speak on behalf of everybody standing up here, the makers and the shapers, that this was just a very great project to be involved with. You know, some projects you're involved with go well, some go not so well, some go okay. This project just was positive from day one. The people that were surrounded around it and everybody just kept smiles on their face. It was a happy project. So not only was it an epic ride, it was a great ride the whole way for us building it. So thanks to Visit Huntington Beach for giving us the honor to be involved, and everyone that we've worked with. It was a great deal.
Me? Okay, I'm Frédéric Courbe. I'm a structural engineer, and of course, I'm from France. I'm not from here, as you can see. But I came in California 15 years ago, and when these two guys called me and said, well, look, we need a structural engineer to work on it. It was fantastic because after 15 years, be part of this great group with everybody, and then I learned how to surf over here. It's, well, that's America. Everything's possible. It's great. Thank you.
I guess. Oh, go ahead. Let me get up here. I'd just like to say one thing. You know, Lynn pretty well said most of our appreciation, but our appreciation for choosing Westerly Marine to build this project. When I first looked at the drawings for this, I had kind of thought, you got to be kidding me. You know, it's this huge surfboard. It had no idea that it would develop into what it is now, standing up here with this world's largest surfboard behind me. But I'd like to kind of shout out to all the people that were involved with the project that came through our facility. That sometimes it can be a real drag with some people that come through. They kind of ruin your day. I don't like anybody mucking up my day. But it was a pleasure. All the strangers coming through, the people directly involved with the project. It was a very great experience, so I express my appreciation for that. Thank you. You're on, Kai. I'm good. Having Kai on board was excellent.
I'll say something for him. Would never have happened without Sharon, because actually, besides he had his hands in the resin and the dirt building the board, he was the man in the trenches every day, making sure the board would get finished. And on top of that, he drove one of the 2 jet skis that got us on the wave.
The last part of the architecture team is Brett Detmers and Mike Adams. Mike, both local guys here. If they could just come up here real quickly. They really did help us to kind of figure out, it's one thing to do a board, but it's another thing to kind of design it and what you're going to see behind us, so we can take it off in about 30 minutes and go set a world record again, or do whatever we want to. So Mike and Brett, you just want to come on up real quick?
Yeah, it's funny. We've had a couple of other cities approach us already, whether they can borrow the board. I said to them, how big's the checkbook?
Well, Kelly says we can get the board down in about 30 minutes, so no problem. Just want to say I'm really proud to have been offered the opportunity to be on the board, and also proud to be part of the installation team that is able to plant another icon of surfing in Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA. So that's all I want to say. Just thank you very much for the opportunity, and congratulations.
Phase 3, going for the record, gang. We already talked to some of these people, but Surfline, who called it, Newport Sea Base, where we tested it, Fred and Ken at the city, Kelly Fritzl, Chief Handy, Janine, Chris Cole, Julie Toledo, and especially Marine Safety. I remember that. Bumgartner said, listen, if it's anything higher than this, you're not going. So we got up that, the weekend before.
We didn't want one big wipeout, right, Kelly?
And by golly, I think the surfing gods looked down on us, and it was like, okay, I think we're going to do this thing. Visit California. You're going to hear from Lynn in just a second. Early adopters who saw the wonderful value in this project. Bob Miller and Toyota of HB that provide the pickup truck. Chris Linka. Chris, are you here? I think he was going to try and make it. He hauled the board to and from. I tell you what. Leyland Conley, if you see her from the OC Register, right?
Yeah.
She's a big lover of us, and she gave us tremendous press. The Guinness World Records folks, Hurley, the jet skis operator, Rocky McKinnon, we just heard, Sumo, the MC for the day, Patrick Brennan, Home Run Media, Celeste Hamill, I saw you, our 100 Years of Surf, right, coordinator, good job there. And the 24 sponsors who you will see on this board named, as well as at the memorial plaque that we're going to be doing. And last but not least, the 66 official riders who made it happen. Now here's something, a little sidebar. Should we tell them this, PT? There were 66 official riders, but how many unofficial riders were there on the board, PT?
Well, actually, remember, if we didn't make it on the first time, we all had to get off the board, and he had to do that counter thing once again.
Right.
And actually, the first time we thought there was only 65.
Right.
But when we actually added it up, there was 66.
And there might have been one more soul on that board. We'll just leave that for urban legends and another cocktail later. Right? When you see the plaque, funny is there is 67 names on that plaque. But anyway, our last... But we're not going to argue with that Guinness, right? So phase 4 is kind of the dress up and show up. Again, Pat Steyer and the 4th of July committee who said yes to us putting the board in the parade. And again, the city for the U.S. Open of Surfing for us to put it, just to block off the footprint for the U.S. Open of Surfing. Our film people, Nick Bowser, Joe Anello, I think that's his drone right up there, and Michael Steele, again, thank you for providing a lot of the footage. Of course, Visit California did well. And the final... It's the final countdown. If you've watched the NFL lately, right? Well, this is our final countdown. And just some names real quick. The installation people that drilled the hole and got all this going. Brad Billington, Gary Neal, Bruce Renner, and Scott Bumgartner. Bob Steele again with Westerly doing what you did for get this thing back up here. Scott and the crew at the city planning department going through little hurdles there at the end, but we made it happen. Derek at 3M that came through at the last moment and put this protective coating on here, graffiti proof. And Jody McKay, our project manager for last night and today. We're almost there, game. It's great that we had all those sponsors come forward last year. But it was also some people saw the value of this, so we have some people who dug a little deep and said, listen, we want to help with the film premiere as well as this installation. 3M, Diane Thompson with State Farm Insurance, Nicole Thompson with First Bank, right around the corner. The Hyatt Regency, Huntington Beach Resort and Spa, Jody Clegg Real Estate, Lisa Carls with Remax. Pasea Hotel and Spa opening up in May of this next year. Robert Mendick family, John Etheridge with Seashore Pest Control and also on the board. Bobby and Johnny with UVO. Some memorial sponsors, Huntington Beach Downtown Association, Pacific City, Scott Smith, Sea Legs Wine Bar, the official car of HB, the Southern California Woody Club, and you'll see one of their rigs over there, I believe, or over here. Barefoot Wine, Rip Beer, HD Digital, Patrick and Dominic did a fantastic job. And Tina, again, with the beautiful lays, thank you so much. All right, early adopter, and then we're ready for the big moment. We're very, very fortunate to have Lynn Carpenter here. She's the VP of Marketing for all of Visit California. We talked last night. They had about a $6 million budget 10, 11 years ago. It's up to 115, 116. And they saw the value of this and did some pretty cool stuff. So I know we're running just a tad late, but Lynn, come on up here and say a few words for us, would you?
I was so privileged to be here last night, and I said a couple of things, and I just want to reiterate them. I am personally honored to be part of this family, and that's really what I viewed it as last night, as people were getting together, talking, sharing, and really celebrating this achievement. I feel like coming from Sacramento, like some of you, I've dropped into like a little microcosm of concentrated California. This is what we sell around the world right here, what you guys have. So congratulations for that. So, and I also said last night, and I mean it, this is a great award, the Guinness Book of World Records, and actually standing on stage with PT, my husband's going to be so excited. I hope someone takes a picture. Yeah, I know. I told my husband
that picture now, Sharon.
Thank you so much. So, but it's more than that. And this is why now with my marketing hat on as for the state of California, I'll say why we got involved. We love Kelly. That's part of it. But the other part of it is it's a great way to talk about California's dreamers, because the accomplishment was one thing, but it's the dream that you brought to life. That's really what we're here to talk about and what we want to talk about and bring that around the world. So if I may be so bold to say there's a stage 5, and that is bringing this around the world, and that's our job, and we're excited to do it. So we'll be putting some money behind it. We've already got 1.7 million viewers on just this piece alone in the first 3 months. That equates to 544 minutes or 1 year and 12 days of viewing time just on the video that we launched. That video is called The World's Largest Surfboard, and it is on the Dream 365 TV network. I also just want to say one thing, because I heard a lot of people here talking about the economy and sort of the money that will flow in and tourism, and I just want to get your head around these numbers, so just so you understand why travel matters, why we're doing this. We're doing this for the economy. We're doing this from our perspective, from a tourism perspective, for $117.5 billion that the tourism economy represents in the state of California. Orange County alone is $9.4 billion. The taxes that are generated from tourism, $9.3 billion, and 1 million people have jobs because of tourism. That's really what we're doing from a tourism perspective. So I just wanted to add that to this because there were so many people here that talked about that side of it. But I thank you all for dreaming big, and only a surfer knows the feeling.
Yeah.
And speaking of dreaming big and loving surfers, the guy who really did his board was used to kind of like the prototype to build it. Brett Simpson, I think you're somewhere in the house. There he is. Want to say something real quick? Well, what the heck? You're not running for office, so I know he'll keep it short, right?
What's up, champ? Yeah, you're not running for office. You can say.
No, this is. I just want to say it's awesome to be a part of. Just for myself, traveling around the world as PT has his whole life, and a lot of us do, to call Huntington Beach home and now have this here and just be a part of it has been really cool. And yeah, Huntington Beach will always be a part of me, and rock on.
A man who's true to his word, right? All right, like Lynn said, it is the next phase. So it's one thing to put it up here. It's one thing to go for the gold standard and get all that millions of dollars and earn media value. But it's another thing to go for the platinum award. And I think what we're talking about is just not the platinum, but the double platinum. And I say that because once this thing is unveiled, and once people come here and get those pictures taken, and once the videos go viral, I think it's going to be not only a must-see, must-go-to attraction in Southern California, but in also California, but I think the entire West Coast. When you come out this side of the United States, you got to go to SoCal, you got to see the board, you got to get your pictures taken. The last piece of that is we're going to be launching a Surf City official cultural and heritage self-guiding tour where you can come here, you learn about the board, you get your steps in, you go down to the pier, you see the Duke statue, you see the International Hall of Fame surfing and the Walk of Fame surfing, and you just go through the entire destination. Get fit and learn about us. Also, as Brett said, there's going to be probably 3 or 4 times the number of people going through that museum, and that's going to help all of us, without question. But the last thing I would say is that we talked about this last night, is when we want young people to come here and we want them to dream big. We want them to look up here, to go in and see that video, and to realize that, as we all did, when the whole space shuttle program way back in Gemini, Mercury, Apollo, it's like, we remember those times. And some of us said we want to be astronauts. Well, this is the next generation, as Bob Steele, you just said, right? We want those people to say, hey, I want to do something like that when I grow up. And they can call Huntington Beach home without question. All right, I think we are about ready, aren't we? All right. So I think we're going to do
I just hope we don't have a wardrobe malfunction, right? It's supposed to come down in one swift.
It will. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an official ribbon cutting, right? Then we're going to, hopefully, if all things, work out, this whole cover is going to come off very simply. And then our good friend Duke is going to come up here and do an official blessing, a Hawaiian blessing on this very special day. So I think if we want to get all the people here, we're part of the proclamations up here. Perhaps some of the makers and shapers, if you want to jump up behind here as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You got it, Matt Livery? Matt's got it. Matt's gonna do we're going to do the aloha blessing. We got a blessing. We need a live mic.
Is the day of the passing of Duke Kahanamoku. And this is the day that he left us. And if you look really closely to my friend here, his name is Duke Iper. If you're around Huntington, you know who he is. But on his shirt here is his father, Ben Iper, with Duke Kahanamoku. That's why Duke was named Duke. So Duke is going to give us a Hawaiian blessing on our day here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to say a little prayer of protection and unity. The meaning, you probably won't understand, but you'll feel it coming from me. It's called Kapua no Ma Malu Malu. Ka mala mala o ke akua e ho puni mai kako. Ke aloha o ke akua e ki puni mai I a kako. Ka mana o ke akua e ho o pakele mai kako. Ke aloha e kai akua mala mai kako. Maka hiki kako e hele. Akua e akua no. Amen. I think protection and unity to represent all the people that were involved, making the board, riding the board, everyone watching the board. What you guys have done, Huntington Beach, is you have continued the great Duke Kahanamoku's spirit of aloha. You have embodied that spirit of aloha to share with the world in this vessel. In this vessel that we rode in the ocean that connects us all. And I say to you, aloha.
So here's the mission. Tell the world, right? Yep. Get it on social media. Tell people that they need to come downtown, Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA, to enjoy this now, tomorrow, and for generations to come. Aloha, everyone.
God bless this board so it will be here for years to come.